Alright, so for our assembly template, we're pretty much in the same session. All of the options have been set. I've saved those to the copy settings wizard. Right, so to do the same thing with the assembly, then we're going to grab the default, and it just depends on if we want to bring that up. Oh, and notice that it defaulted, and we automatically jumped into an open. Okay, so I'm going to cancel that out, and we're going to look down through here. I'm not dealing with messages or the layout sketch just yet, so I'm going to collapse the message, and we can start the command. So beginning the assembly, bringing in the first component, that's okay. Probably don't want to automatically browse when you're creating the new assembly. I would like to have the option to wait without that screen popping up and saying, pick something. So maybe later on we'll set it to automatic browse. We do want to see the graphics preview. No, I don't want to make virtual. That takes a part or component and brings it in to the assembly and saves it within the assembly. And then it becomes integrated into the assembly. An envelope is kind of the working area. And then show rotate context toolbar will pop up. Yeah, those are all pretty good. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK. I didn't really select anything. I'm getting my previews as I hover over, and my graphics card on this laptop is a little slow, so it's actually drawing the screen or the planes. Let's see, other things that we would want to use. Notice that my split entities is still showing, and it doesn't hurt anything. But because this is modal across the different modules, part assembly drawing, I'm going to continue to see it. It's just going to be grayed out. But if we were to go into edit a sketch in context and go into a sketch, then that would become active again. So it's still kind of handy. I'm going to turn off the cam folder so that we can have that screen space back. I have turned off Instant 3D. I think that was one I missed in the previous video, but in the previous video, we turned off the Instant 3D, and under Sketch, we turned off Rapid Sketch and Instant 2D. Well, mainly the Instant 2D. Alright, so things that we would want to do in the assembly, not a whole lot. Most of the time, I do not show the origin. Once I bring in the first part, and we start accumulating parts, then we also are accumulating origins, and those get kind of annoying. So that'll be a personal preference that you can choose. The default, we're in trimetric view, that's okay. So pretty much, aside from picking inch, pounds, and seconds, that is the default. I'm pretty much okay with the default assembly. If I wanted to make a metric one, then I would come back and go millimeters, grams, and seconds. Let's take a quick peek at the units. Okay, so the length in millimeters is in 2 decimals, which is fine. And then we would switch to 3 decimals, so just clicking on the down arrow. And then I can go ahead and hit OK. So under the system options, the assemblies, this becomes a little more important in the assembly. But we can check these as we encounter problems or need to make adjustments. So the large assembly mode, you will see things that show up with a little feather that are called lightweight, and those aren't fully loaded into memory. And so if we automatically load a lightweight or do anything with lightweight, it has a different effect on the assembly. So if I do a save as, my file is still pointed to the SolidWorks template, which is another be careful. And this is going to be assembly metric. All right, so if I know I'm building metric parts, then or working in a metric assembly and going to have metric parts, I can go into that assembly first. Alright, so we go new, and I will pick my inch part. Oh, and okay, where did that one go? I was looking for my assembly metric. Okay, I seem to have lost that one. I need to go back, and I was looking at the location, but then apparently that location wasn't in the template. Either that or I didn't manage to save it. So let's see if we can hunt that down. When you lose something, open recent, assembly metric, SolidWorks 2018 templates, assembly metric, program data. All right, and then if I come back to new and I hover over one of these, SolidWorks 2018 templates, and that was also in program data. Okay, I have to go back and watch the video, see what I did. Alright, so the thing to watch out for that we're getting at is when I create my geometry, whether I go into sketch and it says, where do you want to sketch? And we draw a box, find our first relation, and go ahead and extrude. Give it some depth, and now we have some geometry to get started with. And if I were to do a save as, notice that it's going back to that same location. Right, so I need to navigate back to where I actually want to save this part and make sure to put it in the current folder after I've done any modifications with a template, whether it's a part or an assembly. Okay, so one more pass, open recent, assembly metric. Oh, well, it's a solid assembly file. Oops. Okay, so be careful of the file extension. File save as, even though it's saved in the correct folder, now I'm going to go ahead and delete. I mean, I can't delete it. I would like to delete it, but I can't delete it because it's the currently open document. I need to tell it that this is an assembly template, and it's going to have the file extension AFM.dot. Where the parts are PRT.dot, then I have to make sure that my metric goes to actually being in a template. And then now, there is my assembly metric. Okay, so mystery solved. All right, so I'm going to close this out. Well, let's talk a little bit about properties. All right, so going into the drawing template, we're going to create a simple drawing template. And you can take this as far as you want. The optional portion of this is to just kind of watch the video and understand that there are things going on in the background. And then if you want to build a custom template, put your logo in, those things are all available. So where we start collecting data for a file is under File and Properties. And so we have summary information. I can write in my information, last saved by the username for this login, and a created date and a last saved date. Now those will change as you copy or zip or do different things. So usually if I'm interested in the created date, I'll hard code it into a custom property. All right, so custom properties are, and if this goes to the correct location, this is that custom property file. We want to make sure that there's a text file with this list so that we can add things or take things away as needed. All right, so there's a lot of items already in here, and we can edit the list to add additional items into the group. All right, so for 2018 linked, I'm not sure what it's linked to. So that's a new one. I'll have to look into that. Configuration specific. As we get into building configurations, there may be part numbers, and if we're going to use configurations, there probably will be separate part numbers for each configuration. So that would be one that I would put configuration specific. Custom would be global, or for all of the items. So I can make a default template, have all of these items in it, but then I'm pretty much locked into that structure. Right? So same with the assemblies, I would want to use the same types and combinations of items so that whatever we're tracking, whatever those properties are, I can use the same templates and have the same data, even if the data is just X'd out that it's not usable in the assembly. Right, so that's our location. Also, next to the options is file properties. That is our shortcut to jump into those. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this out. No, I don't need to save the block. And back over on our SOLIDWORKS resources, the home screen, we have a property tab builder. So in the add-ons, we did that previously as well. In the add-ons, I have unchecked everything, or most everything. Probably SOLIDWORKS CAM is still on since it's popping up. Yeah. Right, but everything else is turned off. So the SOLIDWORKS forum, that would be the list of things that are being discussed out on the forum. Simulation, if we're not using it, I don't need to load it. Those types of things are currently turned off. So under the home screen, we want to get into the property tab builder, and this is going to bring up, and we're going to track maybe three properties to get started. Right, we're going to also make this for the part and the assembly, and the idea is that this data as it's collected is going to show up, or collecting the data is going to show up on, move over a little bit, on the tab as the properties, the custom properties. And this is going to be a little bit easier, a little more intuitive, can build some logic into it if we need to, so that this tab in the task pane will write information back to the file properties over here. And it's an easier way to populate data. And if you're working with existing data, then you want to keep consistent with descriptions and part numbers and already existing data sets, so that those items will naturally associate with the current custom properties. All right, so we have a custom properties group. I'm going to generate a text box, and we add it to the mix. And this name is going to be for all of our listings here. And so I want a drawn by. No, let's take that back. Go back to the part number. There we go. A part no, and it's text, and it is going to be configuration specific. All right, so I don't want to mix these, so it is going to configuration specific. It's highlighted. Now it would be going to custom. All right, so, and then the value, I want to show a default, and so it'll be 3 letters and 4 numbers. All right, so that's my my text box. Caption will be for a part number. Okay. And then the one that I always forget. So let's back up just a step. If I click out here in the area, under the control attributes at the very top of the custom properties, we have a type for part, assembly, drawing, and weldment. And those are going to be the different file types that get saved into that folder. All right, so I have my part number, and I want to make a list. And so if I have for drawn by 2 or 3 people that would potentially be using this custom property, maybe we store this and have it pointed to the network, then I can have the default for a list, and we can put it into a text file or an Excel file to reference the list if I have more information. Otherwise, values put in . So people to select. And then somebody comes in and we haven't added them to the list yet. Yes, I want them to be able to allow a custom value. Right? And then at times we've done revisions. And so the revisions, you can do letters or numbers. It just kind of depends on your document control. So if I bring a number in as my revision, the advantage here is that when I increment the value, 0 is my production level, and then I will come over and I will hit up 1, change the revision, and to the next level, and be able to build in that geometry. And the revision probably will be for the custom tab. Now that I think about it, the drawing will also be for the custom tab. So there's one person that is driving this document, one revision control, but possibly many part numbers. And then the last one we'd like to bring another text in. And then if we set materials along the way. I can have a material box, and under the list, this is going to be a SolidWorks property somewhere, hopefully. There we go. It is going to be text, no default value, and this one's going to be configuration specific. So at this point, I hit save. It takes me to the template location. Okay, that was where it was supposed to go. So let's see if we can find it under the... Okay, where exactly did my... Okay, there's the PC. C drive and program data. If you're not seeing the program data, well, we're not going to get it from here. You would come up to your view and make sure that you're showing hidden folders and files. All right, and then over to SolidWorks. I'm pretty sure I have permission to write here. All right, so at this point, I'm ready to put these into a cloud folder. All right, so SolidWorks 2018, had a few versions of SolidWorks installed on this computer. And then the templates. And I do not see the PRTs. So that's not the custom properties. I thought that was where it was taking me, but let's go back to the options. And if I have to find a location, file locations, custom property files. All right, so data, SolidWorks 2018, language, English. All right, so let's go one more. And you can kind of see why I want to update this. Program data, SolidWorks 2018, language, English, and this should be, actually there should be one in there, but, well, we'll see if it shows up. I know where to find it. So this is going to be my part template. And we'll hit save. All right, going outside of the box, let's change this over to an assembly. And we will try that again. Okay, it took me back there anyway. And we're going to go to an assembly template, because I pretty much want the same properties in the assembly template, even though something like material, go ahead and save it, even though something like material we may change from the text attributes, or to the from the material attribute. And let's see, the name can still be material, but the value could be not applicable or something. All right, we'll save that back. All right, so I'm going to fly this out of the way, and then the test is to open a part, and hopefully they made it there. We'll open my inch template, go to the custom properties files, just thinking about it. All right, so there's my part number, there's my drawn by. Oh, I guess it would have helped to given the number an actual rev. So we'll need to reload that. Yep, we called it revision. So all right, so one more save on the assembly. And yes, I want to open. We're going to open up the part template because I did the same thing over here, and they are separate files controlling these documents. Revision, save. Okay. And then it doesn't automatically come up. So template options, if I go back to none, then it resets itself, comes up with revision. And then if I go File New, pick my assembly metrics, and no, I don't want to open anything right now. And then I have the revision number, the other one was revision. They're both going to be written to the revision folder. So let's put in a value. So this is going to be and the drawn by is my initials, revision number for pre-manufacturing, material is not applicable, I hit apply, and then we come back over to the file properties, and there are the two items written to the custom, or the configuration specific, and then drawn by and revision are written to the custom. Right, so that gets us started to be able to set up our drawing template. And don't save, and don't save. All right, so next we'll start setting up the drawing template.